All right, episode 187. Today we're going to talk about why the debt ceiling crisis is more dangerous than you think it is for the real estate market. We're going to get started right now.
We think we are.
About today.
Yeah, we should know today. All right, episode 187, why the debt ceiling crisis is more dangerous than you think for the real estate market.
So catchy.
Because this is a hot topic right now. So, this episode should only last for a couple of weeks once they figure it out. Or they just don't
People
approve.
would just forget about it like they do everything else. 2 seconds.
Wasn't
after
it a couple of years ago that... All right, so before we get started, because I do...
If they didn't figure it out by tomorrow, we were all homeless.
we're all done.
Yes, homeless, yes.
So many real estate masterminds.
I do want to know, because we've never defaulted on our debt. But I thought there was a couple years ago we had a...
Everybody's got their first.
Yes. Like, I thought a couple years ago, didn't the government shut down for a week or two, and then we lost our credit rating? So
we have a very...
Wait, hold that, because we got to go to our sponsors.
Yes, we do.
We got to go and
Who's not shutting down.
Yeah, they're never shutting down. Tour Studios, which they will never shut down because they don't have a debt ceiling. They have an Amex Black Card.
And they'll also have a website soon.
Yes. Someday soon, Tour Studios. Get with Jesse Showalter.
What?
Yeah. If you want to shoot some video content, if you want to start a podcast, he can do you here locally. He can do you here over the internet.
Bro, Jesse will straight up do you anywhere.
That's right.
He doesn't care.
Yes, he will. So Tour Studios, just get with Jesse Showalter. He will hook you up. Then go over to our favorite loan officer, Mortgage Mike, mortgagemikeoftexas.com, giving everyone those Mortgage Mike stamps of approval. He was going to be here today to share his thoughts on the debt ceiling, but he had to do a Zoom video call with a client that's relocating here from New York.
His exact words were, I know people that are better than you, so no, I won't be there.
That is true. And I know the people that he's talking to, and they definitely are better than all of us. Yeah. So mortgagemikeoftexas.com for all your Texas and Oklahoma mortgage needs. And then Dana Wynn with Homeward DFW. I tricked you, Jesse, because you probably thought I was going to go to Theron.
Yeah, I thought you were going there.
But it's not fair. Dana always goes last, so
It's
sometimes Theron, until he gives you a tour of his new bus. So
Armadillo
Dana
bus.
wants to go last because every time we mention on the show, people send us more referrals.
Yeah.
She's
So,
like, oh.
yeah, Dana Wynn, Homeward DFW, the best property management company. And the only one, because it's growing super fast, homewarddfw.com. Send all your referrals that way because agents matter, you matter, our tenants matter, our landlords matter.
Everything matters.
Yeah. What's that shirt she said?
Words matter. Oh.
She has the shirt that y'all got her.
Personal service, excellent service, and
Exceptional customer service.
something like that.
Yeah.
I literally just wore it like a couple of days ago.
I wore it to Mexico
I
with
did.
her.
Does she have one too?
We got her one. She won't wear it.
Yeah.
What?
That was the original bit, was we just ordered it knowing she wasn't going to wear it and then wore it around her as long as possible.
I love it.
Which she never noticed. We still had to end up telling her.
I need
It took
one now.
months.
All right, give me one. I'll wear it every time I see her.
Every.
Homeward@dfw.com. Then look, that investment property or that home that you're buying needs a home warranty. And I was talking to somebody, I won't reveal who it was, but they are not happy with their home warranty, and it starts with an F, ends in a Y.
Family?
Yeah, I won't even go down that because I won't call out this home warranty company.
Ends in a Y.
Yeah.
I
Starts
know
with
which
an
one
F,
it is.
ends
I
in a
know.
Y.
The middle is a
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And so they weren't happy with that warranty company. And so I told her to get with Theron Smith over at Armadillo Home Warranty. They have that one-page contract. They don't really have any exceptions. Nope. I think it could be a house that just, you buy a burned-down house, they'll fix it under warranty.
John Cusack movie from the 90s. High home warranty. Nick doesn't watch movies.
Never with the movies.
Armadillo.1 backslash
I don't even watch movies,
Tor.
and I trip and fall into some of these answers.
T-O-R-E. What is that one? What movie is that from?
Well, I can't say. Or
It's
give
I know.
it's the name
It's
that
the
you're trying not
word.
to say. It's the name.
Oh.
It's high and then the name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
You
but you guys
remember
know
me.
that. so you
Armadillo
just
home
stomped
warranty.
all over the
Get with
bit.
Theron. They got the best home warranty all over the United States. So,
Boom.
They do.
all right, let's talk about this debt ceiling crisis and what it could do to us in the real estate market. Heck, it's probably real bad for all of us, not just the real estate market.
I assume end of business Eastern time
Yeah.
is
Tonight.
basically the cutoff,
Today.
which is in 47 minutes.
Yep.
Because they made it very clear. If we didn't figure this out by June 1st, the country's going to implode.
Yeah.
I think Russia
done.
just takes us over.
Careful what you wish for. It might be.
I mean,
little
but
close.
I have seen. I have
Who's
seen.
gonna
Putin's chilling
be
in Cuba right now,
China?
1960s style.
I will tell you, I've seen both movies of. Is it Red Dawn?
Red Dawn.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
I've seen that older one and the new one.
The old one.
That's what he references.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know
No,
high
seriously.
fidelity, but you know the second Red Dawn.
Well, of course. First off, they're the same movies. They're just it's a newer one. It's not a sequel.
But
It's
the
It's
first
like
one
Tom
has
Cruise
Patrick
in the second-
Swayze.
Is Tom Cruise in the second one?
It'd be really
No.
funny if it was a
that's
sequel.
too bad.
I think it's
seriously.
they're no name actors in the first one or the second one.
No, it's like Chris Hemsworth, isn't it?
Yeah.
It
Only,
is.
only because I know
But
we
he
can't-
wasn't Chris Hemsworth
Yes.
back then.
Only because I know we can't talk about a subject for an hour. Go watch the old Planet of the Apes if you want to be super disappointed with
very
old
good.
movies.
The
They're
old one?
Charlton
garbage.
Heston.
The Charlton Heston ones are not good.
No, the new ones are good though.
Yeah, new
Yeah.
ones.
No, they're
CGI
fine.
makes
Yeah.
everything dope.
Oh,
Yeah,
for sure.
True. But I mean, look, Red Dawn. You got to be prepared in case they come attack. So you
never know, man.
that may have started the prepping for me.
I'm sure.
Tomorrow
Maybe
would
so.
be the day, man. June 1st. It's
Just
a
have to
Thursday. It's a good
go
Red
to-
Dawn.
Have to
day.
throw that up
Grab
there
your
real
bug out
quick,
bag
Nick.
and
Sorry,
move
he's
on,
got to
Nick.
cover that there.
Oh, you will not fix a burned down house. Oh,
Okay, so to start this conversation, it says is more dangerous than you think. For the
You
real estate.
think.
Can we start with the baseline of how dangerous do people think it is?
Yeah,
like,
that's a
what are
good
we
question.
hearing? Because I don't hear a lot about people fearing the debt ceiling,
Nah.
but I don't really know what people are talking about. So, I don't know. I think why don't we start with this? What is the debt ceiling? And
That's a
why
good
do we need to
question.
raise it?
That's a great question.
I have my take, but I don't think I'm totally right.
it's a ceiling that is. It's obviously it's a movable ceiling because we can
very
keep
movable.
raising it.
Yeah.
Right.
Without any recourse, because it's like an unlimited credit card.
Right.
Essentially.
Yeah, that they just put some spending limits on, and
Yeah.
then they start fighting about it, and you're like, you know what? We'll just raise it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So we agree on a budget every certain amount of years.
Not really.
I think it's every year. Well, like
No,
in theory.
no, we don't.
In theory.
Thanks, Heather.
Yeah.
And then we're not supposed to spend more than that, which means we're not supposed to borrow more than that. Thank you, Heather. Had to get it in when I could get it in today.
Got to get that whole vibe.
And then if we don't pay our bills by then, that's the debt ceiling.
Correct.
That's so like Wikipedia is amazing. I have both those. The debt ceiling is in the United States the debt ceiling or debt limit. It's a legislative limit on the amount of national debt that can be incurred by the U.S. Treasury, thus limiting how much money the federal government. Right? What happens if the U.S. hits the debt ceiling?
see, here
Potential
we go.
repercussions of reaching the debt ceiling include a downgrade of credit rating agencies, increased borrowing costs, which this is where it affects real estate and interest rates for businesses and homeowners alike, and a drop-off in consumer confidence, which is really where real estate agents are going to have to fucking hone their ability to walk people through this, because consumer confidence is more than anything is going to keep people away from the process, even more than interest rates, right? Like I have clients right now who are willing to engage with the interest rates, right? But their ability to believe that everything's going to be okay sooner than later is the argument that we're overcoming almost every time when it comes to, especially the last week and a half when they jumped over a 7 on paper, right?
That's really the point to make in this whole conversation, this episode and this entire debt ceiling conversation is like, so make no mistake, right? We borrow money from other countries in the form of they buy bonds in U.S. government and treasuries and things like that, right? It's not like we have our schedule of payments all due on the same day, meaning like there's not some like June 1st debt ceiling where the U.S. just defaults on every dollar it owes of the $25 trillion national debt right now.
Yeah.
That doesn't like we don't structure things so they all come due the same day, right?
same time.
The reality is you would default on different things over time and in quick succession. even if the government did default on some things, theoretically they could start making payments and restructuring very quickly. This is more about sentiment, right?
Correct.
What happens if the U.S. defaults when it's never done that before is it throws financial markets into haywire for a couple of reasons. One, U.S. debt is basically a triple A rated asset or a quadruple A rated asset, right? Everybody or every other country on earth feels good having secured U.S. debt. It's why there's the saying, backed by the full force of the U.S. government. They don't say that about Greece, right?
No.
And so if that starts to decay, that causes a lot of
Is that
problems.
because Greece just didn't pay their bills?
But, I mean, if you ever read Boomerang by Michael Lewis, yeah.
Yeah.
Greece defaulted in early 2000s. Jesse, when did Greece default? It was chaos.
Yeah.
That's why it was so cheap to go there for a long time. 2012.
Yeah.
Wait, so then it makes it cheaper to come here, so we'll have two.
2012, he nailed it. Boom!
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought about that in a while. Anyway, but yeah, and then what happens is obviously if we default at all on anything, the United States is also
it was 2015.
shit. Probably started in 12,
Probably did.
ended in 15.
It was
Whatever.
only $1.6 billion.
That's nothing compared to us.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Chump change.
But being the world's reserve currency is also a massive part of this. When the global economy loses faith in the world's currency, it can be devalued very, very, very quickly. So the strength of the U.S. dollar could plummet if we default on anything, which could make inflation go whoop, and lending standard, or not lending standard, interest rates go really high. That could cause absolute all sorts of chaos. So if you think that just inflation alone was causing a lot of havoc in the markets, if we default, it's like compressing the last year into like a couple of days.
Yeah, this is, and I'm just over here going down a rabbit trail as you guys are talking about this because, like, obviously, I've said this on the show before. This is the stuff that's most lost on me, and you guys may not be able to answer this, but I'm curious about this, right? Like, as I'm finding this, it's saying that as of the end of 2022, there was $31.4 trillion in debt, but 24.5 of that, or 78% of that debt, was held by the public, which they define the public as domestic and foreign hold, like not other countries, right? So that's probably hedge funds, like still massive money people, right? Like, is it better? Because I think that the general public, when they hear the debt held by the U.S., they think China owns the U.S. If you were to tell somebody, hey, the U.S. is in debt $31.4 trillion, we'd be like, China owns all of that, right?
Yep.
When in actuality, like I can look right here and say, like foreign governments don't even own 22% of our debt in total.
Where's most of the debt owned?
78% of it, which is like 24.5, is owned by what they call the public, which represents cash borrowers from domestic and foreign investors.
It's your grandma, by the way.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, so is, again, this goes back to market sentiment and people freaking out. Is this just that we don't understand the mechanics, again, that this isn't China owning the United States? This is just that, like, let me ask this. The 78% in public debt, how did the public borrow that $24 trillion from the government?
Bonds.
What is it?
Yeah, they
just
buy
bought
it's bonds.
Yeah, so when you buy government bonds.
Our bonds are way less scary than China owning us, right?
Well, that's how they own
Or
us too.
am I not?
They buy bonds too.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. So that's where my confusion locks in because the public part makes.
Yeah, but you're not wrong from a theoretical sense of like that's just like numbers on paper. I think we say like China owns us, and there's as long as we're the strongest.
That's just what
as long as
crazy
we're the
people say on
strongest
the internet,
military
right?
in the world, nobody really owns us. I don't know if you guys know this,
Sure.
but like not every war has ever been justified. But it's more so.
Episode 188. Let's go down the war.
As we've seen over the last year, the only thing that matters is how people feel, market sentiment, right? And so the idea of defaulting, here's the thing, nobody's going down the rabbit hole that you just went down, right? Like everybody thinks that all $25
I clicked
trillion
two Google links,
yes.
by the way.
Everybody thinks that all $25 trillion we're all on the hook for at the same time, and it's all owned to foreign governments who all want to kill us and see us. You know, like that's not really the reality. We also have massive trade agreements with people like China and other countries across.
Aren't those advantageous for us though? Because isn't shit being traded in the U.S. dollar make us stronger, or does that make not make?
Unless the U.S. dollar is no longer the world's reserve currency and people can't trust it because now we're defaulting on some of
shit.
our debts. And so it can lock up credit and equity markets really, really, really quickly just because people don't want to trade with us anymore. And so, like, again, this is one of those things where it's like we all have this, like, economists will have this, like, theoretical idea of, like, what will happen when we default. And they'll sound so sure of it. Think about this. The Federal Reserve employs a few hundred PhDs that all they do is study market data all day, every day, and they haven't got the forecast for the economy right even once.
Nope.
In like over 100 years. Nobody really knows, but that is also because you're not actually predicting things based off of data. You're predicting things off of people, how everyday Americans and people across the world will feel about the messaging.
and then the reaction, right?
And that's all it is.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like when was it Title 42 expired? I think that's the name of it. When it's the immigration stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so they were like, all right, once that expires, it was a COVID title, and once that expires, we're going to have, I don't remember the numbers. It's like 22,000 immigrants coming through the border.
Billion.
Yeah, daily, and it didn't happen.
I'll make it way easier for you. Did Dez catch it?
Yes.
Any non-Cowboys fans?
I mean, he caught it.
What I'm just giving
But
an
not
example
based on
of,
the
like,
rules.
Nothing really matters as far, like, you know what I mean? Like we have our own biases.
Yeah.
And
Title
so
42
then,
is right, by the way.
Yeah. All right.
so then you replicate that by 7 billion people, or like the 4 billion that actually maybe live in developed countries.
So if we,
and you know,
I mean, if we truly were to go and shut down and default, is it as bad as what we've built it up to be, or does it allow us just to go and restructure, and does it put us future America in a better position?
I know nothing about this, but here's what I will say, and I'll let Brian speak on the actual money part of it. I don't think it's good for it to be the first time ever anything happens on your watch. No. Right? When you talk about the U.S. defaulting, like in my total ignorant layman understanding, the fact that the world accepts the U.S. dollar as a powerful, confident currency is a big deal. Also, in my layman's understanding, the fact that we've always been able to say, hey, look, shit didn't happen to us is the reason that happens, right? The second that confidence stops happening and people are like, oh, well, yeah, I know it'd been zero before, but now you officially fucked up one time, you're like everybody else. For me, just as an idiot who understands the edges of this, that's super scary, right? Like just for the first time, something's happened.
that's the thing. Let me taking what he said. Try and make this as simple as possible. Jesse, can you look in the background? What was the decline of the S&P during the Great Recession? Like peak to trough. Like how far did it fall? I can't really remember. That's too many numbers to remember. Decline S&P Great Recession. There we go. So it fell from its peak of 1,300 to
500.
No. The S&P 5, 48%.
Yeah.
So it got cut in half.
Damn.
So basically, half of the wealth of just the S&P 500, which is a great index to kind of give you the entire market as a whole, right? Half of the wealth of the stock market essentially got erased between 2008 and 2009, or however long that time was, right?
Yeah, 6 months.
Now, what did the United States government do to help the recovery start? And let's get back to a place where we could go through this whole cycle again. They started what's called quantitative easing. And guys know what quantitative easing is?
Not at a high level.
Soft landing.
It's very simple. It's not a high level at all. It's when the government buys its own bonds. Like how we do stock buybacks, companies do stock buybacks to get their stocks back up. We buy our own bonds, right? And because we buy our own bonds and so many other countries own our bonds as well, it adjusts the value of those bonds. We're able to control basically that currency, right? And so what you can do through currency manipulation and quantitative easing and things like that, you can manipulate the value of your own currency and your own bonds to essentially manually restructure your debt, if that makes sense. Because
I think we talked about this on the golf course one day.
we did.
Yes.
Something very similar
Yes.
to this. So I only bring that up because I could think if you get an idea of like how bad this could be, let's just assume that when we default, no other countries want to buy our bonds anymore.
Yeah.
So the whole thing that happened in 2008, between 2008 and 2009, that wiped off basically half the wealth of the U.S. equity markets, the backstop that brought us back would be bullshit.
Yeah.
That, I have no idea how bad that could get, but that would be theoretically kind of the viewpoint of a lot of investors in foreign countries.
Meathead American in me says I would always rather be on the side with the biggest guns and the biggest bat and all that other stuff.
That's the other point.
And when we say it's really great as America to say we've never lost this or done this, taking that one L is a very un-American smack in the face.
Sure.
That like when you talk about consumer confidence and all that other stuff that I keep reading and all this shit, right? Like,
Look, eventually an L is coming. I'm just saying. Eventually,
It
an L
has
has to
to.
come. You can't
Is
keep racking up this debt.
It has to.
Empires fall.
Yeah, eventually the L is coming.
We don't like
and-
L's.
No, we don't.
Ask your grandparents if we lost the Vietnam War.
No,
There never was a
My
winner.
grandparents are dead.
Depending on
it wasn't a war,
Mine are
guys.
too.
Yeah.
It wasn't a war.
I'm just saying, right?
It was a conflict.
Yeah. That's
I
what
think
they
it's Korea.
say.
I think the
exactly
Korean
right.
War. The Korean War is a conflict. Vietnam was a war.
Well,
think the
that's a
Korean
great
War.
example
Yeah, the
too.
Korean
That's
War.
why I say it was a conflict. You're like, it was an insurgency. It wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a fucking exhibition match. What are we talking about, dude? It doesn't count, right? Like,
But ultimately, and DeBacker Mortgage Mike has brought this up right on our calls, and one thing he brought up is like the mortgage rates have been going up because of this. I mean,
Yes.
rates are not looking favorably right now.
Where do we know where they were at today?
7, yeah,
7 and a
over,
quarter?
over 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the thought process right now is you're starting to see rates push back up when ideally we thought that by this time and starting getting into the summertime, we would see rates starting to fall, and then we would get into the last fourth quarter of this year of 23, and then in 24 things would get into some type of.
How do you explain real estate agent sentiment that like their markets are fine and they're like because again we're battling. The whole point of this show is to push back against the absurdity that annoys the 3 or 4 of us, right? Like this is all real estate mastermind and lab code agents is right now.
Yes.
It's some agents understanding the writing on the wall, a bunch of agents who would like to just. It's considered a conflict that we cannot consider.
Yeah.
Katie, I don't need all of your knowledge all day on this show.
we don't lose around here.
We talk about practice. Speaking of AI, but like, how do we fuck? Where's I going? I don't really like what
The real estate agent sentiment on
Yeah,
this.
the real estate agent sentiment around this is you see just so much absurdity. And like we've all been around long enough to understand that like real estate agents will defend their position even when they don't understand what they're defending.
Yeah.
We may or may not have done that on this show at times. But like that's the thing, right? If you're not prepared to have these conversations with your clients, or like buyers or sellers, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage because this like we cannot sit on here and do like really cool thumbnails with fire and brimstone. Like 7% interest rates in this day and age is freaking people the fuck out.
Sure,
right? These
but-
conversations are free. You have to be able
Look,
to
if-
have this conversation.
It's a combo. It's freaking people out because it's a combination of pricing is still high.
Their truth is still their truth, though.
Right? Absolutely. Well, yes, but perception is reality.
Yeah.
And we had rates down for so long.
Yes.
that
There's a
we
whole
had-
generation of people that think 3% is full on legitimate.
Yes. And
That's just like what it should be.
yes, yes. And like I had when I started selling back in 6 really is that we had people getting 6 3/4. We had some people at 7, 6.5. If you got in the low 6s, you were happy. Now, pricing back then was
Still affordable, especially locally in DFW.
locally, definitely around here, was definitely more affordable.
That is one of the things that I think a lot of agents in our market are getting kicked in the friggin' face with. Is it like you are just like this is a unique DFW thing that they're not experiencing in LA, Chicago, like or even smaller markets where they haven't made this transition. There are other markets that are moving in to this nice 10-year span where we sat, where just DFW was like the most affordable major metropolitan area to live in, and it's just not anymore, right? Like,
So I'll give you an example. I was talking to my brother and sister, future sister-in-law, yesterday. They're looking at buying, and we discussed rates, and we were discussing strategies of going into making an offer on this property. And I had brought up, this property had been sitting on for 101 days. Everything else in the neighborhood was selling in less than 34. And for whatever reason, it was just kind of wrong timing that this property owner went on the market. There's no rhyme or reason why it's taken as long as it has. And so, what the original thought process is, all right, let's come in $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 under asking price. And I was like, all right, guys, like, what if we looked at it from a different angle? And this is where we're getting Mortgage Mike involved is looking at really staying steady with that interest rate buy down. Yeah. And they've owned, let's see, 5, 6, 7 properties, and they've never heard of the interest rate buy down.
Yeah.
And they don't know how that is very powerful in terms of, all right, let's say that you go in at full asking price and ask for $10,000, $15,000 in closing costs. Yeah. that actually, and then you go buy your rate down, you know, 1.5 or 2 points, that is actually going to get you at a much lower theoretical like purchasing power price than if you were to just go in and ask for $25,000 off.
Yeah.
Agents aren't understanding that. They're not elevating that part of their game to then talk to their sellers, to talk to their buyers at a high enough level.
Because they're not, dude, let's be honest. They're worried about their checks. Like,
if they were-
you can look at agents' production from last year to this year and see a drop-off across the board. The text messages that I get from agents about commission rates and things, like, agents are, like, look, you guys out there, there are plenty of agents out there who are absolutely focusing on their check before they show a property, like straight up ethics violations. Like that's like many agents are desperate for a paycheck, and they always are anyways.
Yeah,
because we know the average agent only does less than a deal a month.
So if you're truly worried about your check, this is me. This is maybe the logic side.
We're probably not talking to you honestly because you're the agent that drives me bananas.
Because I would be like, all right, if I'm really worried about my check or really worried about my future pipeline of production, I'm going to figure out how to stay competitive in this marketplace.
You want to know the best way to ensure that a check comes in every month? Put multiple deals under contract, right?
Yeah.
As an individual agent or an agent on a team or whatever, if you're just doing a deal a month or 2 deals a month, there's a lot riding on those deals, right? Like, we're not talking about like just putting deals on. We're talking about the education and all the other stuff that comes into that. And if you're just walking around in this market trying to figure out why everybody else is readjusting their business and you're just doing the same old thing, you're probably going to get murked by what's about to happen next.
I think that we need to start seeing these old school real estate training seminars pop back up.
I would love that.
That teaches, because like what you just mentioned, I remember at Keller Williams DPR, Haas Pratt brought in Todd Bates.
Todd Bates,
who passed away, a few years back. Real estate coach out of Denver, and what I still remember to this day, what he said in that teaching before he tried to sell me a program that I signed up for that actually was really good, was that, and I didn't have any money to sign up, by the way, was that you need to strive to find 8 deals under contract a month. And he said, why? Because if you have 1 or 2 deals under contract and there's a possibility that those 2 fall apart, you now have no paychecks coming in.
Yep.
The chances of you really losing all 8 deals in 1 month are
Hey, Nick,
slim.
who do you know that's lost 8 deals a month?
I lost 8 deals. That's the reason why I signed up. I did lose 8 deals in 1 month, and they didn't come back to life. But to this day, knock on wood, I've never had that happen again.
Yeah.
And that we should all have that thought process and theory in our business. What scares most agents is having that many under contract. They think about all the work, all the behind the scenes they have to do. But I would much rather worry and have that stress and problem than have 1 or 2 contracts fall that were my only ones in the under contract and in my pipeline. Now they are dead because the debt ceiling, we defaulted on our debt. Rates shoot up to 1,000,000%, and there's no longer any cash buyers, and now I have no money, right? So if I had 8 or 9 deals, maybe there's someone smart enough to say, all right, smart enough or not, they're still going to purchase that house.
That's really the big takeaway. Like I think a lot of times we talk about like what can we do as agents and all that stuff on this show. Like the answer is, by the way, pretty much always the same. You can work as hard as you possibly can to generate business, because in any environment there's just variables. If interest rates go way up and we default, home prices probably will plummet. And by the way, pretty good time to buy. If I walked into a store and everything was on sale, I would be snatching up avocados like nobody's business.
So this is the
Avocados will always stay high, though.
this is the thing.
Yeah, they're gonna go bad.
This is the thought process that I don't understand, and I get it to a point. But all right, Elon Musk just had a report or news article come out that talks about his prediction of housing prices are going to tumble, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, we need to see what the definition of tumble means. And we got to remember, he's talking as a United States as a whole versus we've got very sub-markets and very niche
Real
areas.
estate is hyper-local. We gotta
Absolutely.
remind you
And
of
so
He's also talking a lot about commercial real estate.
okay, well, then it's
And
definitely
that. Commercial real
gonna come
estate is going to melt down.
It
Mark
is.
my words, by the way.
Look
I
at San
actually thought it was
Francisco.
higher than that. San Francisco, man.
Come
So,
on
dude,
now.
just the Nordstrom deal in San
Yeah.
Francisco, like, yeah, $450 billion in commercial
Billion.
debt going to expire this year,
All right.
and you're just not going to be able to find better paper because if you did, you wouldn't have. Not enough banks are going to have enough capital without interest rates going massively up, and then if you refinance, you're going to do it at 15 fucking
Yeah.
percent.
Side note. This has nothing to do with the residential stuff we're talking about. I believe that this realignment of commercial fallout that's going to happen is actually going to be very good for the residential side. It's the same thing that we're starting to see. I don't know if we all talked about this, but I know Brian, I think he just got back from playing pickleball. That's probably why he's dressed like that.
I was gonna go later. I just got back from the gym, but I don't know. I might do some other stuff tonight.
Interesting. That's very vague.
Elizabeth stops coming. She's avoiding me
Very
because I
vague.
dominated her
Very
last time we
vague. He's
played.
going to do other stuff tonight,
stuff.
other than pickleball. But we're
Come on,
starting to
Elizabeth,
see
show up.
there's a group out of California that is picking up these large malls.
Malls
Okay?
and like old grocery stores
and
and
Walmarts
Walmarts.
and
grocery
Home
stores,
Depots,
Walmarts,
Lowe's.
yes, and turning them into pickleball courts. Yeah. So I have a thought that we're going to start seeing these high rises getting turned into more residential, either apartments
Yeah.
or condos.
Probably.
Well, what are the two biggest problems to solve? Not enough pickleball courts.
Yeah,
that's
that's
already
true.
been taken care
Number
of.
one.
And two, affordable housing.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
it's
what a
distant
better way
number
to
two.
solve the affordable housing crisis than all these empty ass skyscrapers?
Yes.
There's a book called Arrival. I keep doing that. I'm sorry. It's a book called Arrival City, and it's all about population density. And
What about Waterworld?
Waterworld?
It's coming soon.
The fact that didn't win an Oscar is just,
By far one of the best.
you know, Waterworld, but not High Fidelity.
Yeah.
You got an interesting mind.
Dude,
I like Kevin. I like Kevin Costner.
all the
Let me
shitty
ask
Kevin
you
Costner
something, right?
movies.
So I just did a quick Google search, right? The highest interest rates we've ever paid is in 1981. We were paying 16.5%, right? Home ownership in 1981 was 65.4%. We've
Okay.
never really seen it drop much below like 63% in general. The highest ever been is 69% in the early 2000s, right? What in 1981, right? It was very similar to what people experience now. The average age of a home ownership was 31 years old because interest rates were higher, so you had to have more money. Very similar to what millennials bitch about now,
Yep.
right? Like that they can't move out of their parents' house, that like home ownership's only for people who didn't grow up during Reaganomics, which by my math, 1981 was. I mean, it was right after Jimmy Carter and his peanuts, but
kinda right
like
when
it was
it came
kind of
out.
right when
Yeah.
shit was jumping off, right? Like the whole point is like at 16.5% interest, people could manage to find a home at 31 years old. But now with 7% interest, the exact same age demographic of people are complaining about not being able to find a home. Is this home costs? Is that really what it is?
So that's the only variable you're not looking at.
That you're
It's
not
like
looking at is
asset
what home
prices
price is.
as a percentage of like wages.
Yeah.
So like if a home cost $500,000 and your average wage is 80, but back in 1981 your average wage was 15,000, but your home only cost 25,000. It doesn't
everything
matter
matches
as
up way
much,
better.
right?
So
Yeah.
we
Okay.
do. It's either wage growth happens,
Yeah.
which it probably will, and we still have that. We do
Because the
need-
numbers don't drop off after 1981, by the way. Like home ownership still stays high. Like percentage of people who own homes, like it doesn't. I mean, and I'm not talking about like just for a couple of years. Like it doesn't drop off for decades. Like it's never a percent.
And
or
I
two
do
below
believe
that.
I
You
do
wanna know why
believe
that is also percentage of people that own homes. This is a quick sidebar, right? So you're going to have a higher percentage of people that buy homes in a bull market for a long time. Interest rates are low and all that type of stuff. And then do you know what happens when a massive correction hits?
People sell their houses and cash out.
You still have a lot of people that, or not a lot of people. You have a certain amount of people that buy
the
homes.
bank takes them. They bust in there and take their houses.
It's true.
Diesel buys their notes and he's the owner of that
That's
shit.
a good one too.
Heyo, let's go.
178, I think.
Fewer people.
Maybe.
Yes.
Might have been. Fewer people have babies.
Oh,
So over
probably-
time, you
that's
do that.
okay.
through
People
a
get
few
broken. They stop
cycles.
humping.
You will have,
Wait,
yeah.
no
right?
way.
So you'll
But
have
that's where
fewer
rubbers.
children, and so the percentages
make
on
sense.
a long time horizon.
That makes sense.
Can we? Is that true?
Babies do be expensive.
You would have trouble like finding out the raw statistics, but that is a theoretical argument that like makes.
I would
sense.
argue.
People get broke, they get sad, They get horny.
Yes.
They have sex.
Yes.
They make more babies. More people go to work. Economy better.
Ooh,
There's
so-
a very interesting one from Freakonomics. Chapter 1 of Freakonomics. Do you know what it's about? It's about the correlation between Roe v. Wade and the theory
Yes.
of broken windows.
Yes.
It's a very similar argument to that, Nick.
Yeah. But my thought process is look, the economy is not doing well. You're drinking, you're smoking more, right?
Yeah.
So your syntax items are going up. And when you drink more, poor
You
decisions
make more
happen.
better decisions.
I mean,
More
that is
better-
one
more
thing
better
Jesse
decisions.
could Google in the background. Do people have more or less kids in a recession? Because I
Yes.
could see that.
Well, now,
also.
what happens during recession is you have less divorce. So divorce doesn't happen during recessions because they still need the double income, and they can't stay that way. And ultimately, my theory would be that during the
I have a whole other red pill argument on why divorces go down
During-
during recessions. I
Yeah.
don't think it's because they want to do anything.
I mean,
This is from
could-
CBS.
I'll drop it.
Yeah.
It's totally
I'll
true.
drop it hard.
Yeah, I still believe that. Look, you start to see that. What else do you have to do?
Well, hopefully find a job.
Well, yeah, you find a job and then you celebrate if you have
You're
multiple
looking-
You
jobs.
think
This
your
is-
wife, if you lost your job today and you went home and you're like,
You got like 60 days before she's worn out by you, though. But you got a little bit of time
eventually
where she
Heather
still
would
thinks.
be like, no, you got to go get a job.
You got a little
today.
bit of time where she still thinks you're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Here's what I do
Unless
think.
you're
though.
auditioning to be Ron Jeremy.
This is what I do think happens. I think the whole country goes into like a cycle that like broken people go into.
Yes.
This is why they have babies, right? Broken people out there trying to like fulfill themselves all the
Yes.
time and feel loved and not feel shit on and just feel good because their life, even in great times in sunshine, kind of sucks, right? Normal people who are just kind of walking around with normal anxiety, normal problems or whatever. Then recession hits, that darkness that they don't really understand, that some of these broken people understand. All of a sudden they're just like, oh my God, I don't know what I need to do to feel good. I need to have sex, or I need to drink, or I need to do this. And it's totally foreign to them. So they do all these rookie mistakes, right? Like having babies, getting arrested.
When they
like,
can't afford it,
They don't
yes.
know how to be a regular broken person
Oh my gosh.
and just move around with their shit.
This is the only real estate podcast worth
I don't disagree. I agree with everything but the sex. I think alcoholism goes way up. I just don't think
Oh,
anybody's in the
you're
mood.
you're absolutely
I mean, it
right.
does.
I don't think anybody's
During
in the mood.
during the Great Recession, I was
I was
investing.
bartending when you were doing real estate, and I was making more money every year because more people.
I
their
was
problems.
investing in the syntax. It was
Yeah.
definitely back then. It was cigarettes and booze.
Yeah.
And so it did well.
Well, I helped you out
yeah, and it
because
did
I
well.
was smoking a lot of cigarettes and drinking a lot of booze from 08 to
Yeah.
011.
Look, there has to be. We definitely have to have some corrections. I do feel that they're not going to default on the debt. I don't think
No.
we allow ourselves to go.
They won't
that
let it
way.
happen.
Look, next year's an election year, but they definitely don't default on this debt. They will.
We call it saber clanging, where the Republicans, Democrats,
And
clang their sabers.
We've been doing this podcast long enough to actually even like say that we have some ability to kind of talk about this
Or influence it.
Well, yes, we absolutely can influence it.
Or
But we were going through this
influence in our own way.
like we've all talked about this. As you start getting in the fall before an election year, there is a lot of shit that starts. Just the rhetoric and the conversation. We will start seeing the dynamics and people's responses changing. We saw it in stuff like, well, it depends on who wins the election whether or not I sell my house.
So
if so and so wins, I'm moving to Canada.
It's funny. I had
Right, you do start seeing the real estate
Yeah.
market affected by elections in a really real way.
They didn't move to Canada.
They did.
I will tell
There's a
you,
list. Jesse, just Google list of celebrities that didn't move to Canada. That is a thing.
they said they were gonna.
I will tell you that I had people back in. It was what was the election year 15 or was that at 6? That was 16, right?
So it was in 16, and then he took over January 17. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I had people who I mean, it was thought that Clinton was going to win,
Yeah.
right? And so,
gosh, you
or
didn't.
when Clinton was running, right? So when Clinton was running, actually, it was before that. That was 12.
Yeah.
No,
Wait,
no,
Clinton?
no,
No, was Hillary running? No, Hillary was running.
Yeah,
against-
yeah,
Oh,
Hillary ran- yeah.
I always just assume you mean Bill.
No,
That's
no,
so-
Hillary.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Hillary ran
That
against
was-
Trump in 2020.
In
Or
2016.
In 2016, and then,
okay.
yeah.
It feels a lot longer than that. by the
Just
way.
She-
imagine how
she-
serious.
Imagine
Don't
how
forget-
sad.
Seriously, we
Don't
take
forget
things
that
just
she
to
was
forget
running-
all about him
Yeah.
a few years later.
Jeez,
I know this will piss people off. Can we just get some moderate, reasonable humans back in the White House?
I
Can
will
we get
tell
a
you-
George W. back in there or a Barack? Like you can say whatever the fuck you want, and I don't care. Like at me on this, But like, I would much rather deal with like George W. or Barack than what we've had for the last 8 years, all day long.
Honestly, even
All day
Bill
long.
Clinton in his pants. I mean, like
That's a
we'll take
little
that
bit.
shit too.
That's a little bit. I couldn't start voting until George W. Like my first election year was 2000.
love or hate his politics. When original Bill Clinton came out, he was pretty cool, man.
He was probably
People liked
fine.
him.
No, he's fine, man.
He was kind of gangster.
Yeah.
I don't really know much about. I was a kid. I don't know much about his policies.
I liked a lot of the shit he was doing at the time.
But did you have conversations with clients that if Hillary would have
Mine
won,
was more the Trump Biden transition when I really heard it. That's
Yeah.
when I heard it
Yeah.
super
So
hard.
I heard it with Hillary because it was like, all right, Hillary takes over, then it's going to tank the economy. And
It was the same conversation
yes.
in 2020
And so,
also.
So I had
yeah.
people that were selling right before that, and that was a legit conversation.
You actually had people sell, because here's the thing is I had people like talk a bunch of shit, and I would leave in my notes on my CRM like, if Biden gets elected, call this guy back, right? Because he is mad about this. Nobody ever listed though.
We all have a mutual friend that used to run television ads that did really well off of it, dude. It was a simple ad. I think it had like a Lawhawk Eagle sound in it.
Yeah.
And it was like, no matter what happens, if your guy loses or girl, call me.
Yeah.
And it was a very politically neutral, but if your thing loses, give me a shout
It's
if you're going to
also
Canada.
like, just imagine living in a world where I'm just so personally offended by something, and like I actually can speak to this a little bit. Like sometimes you just get so caught up in your feelings, you're just like, fuck everything. I'm just gonna train wreck this whole situation, right? Like there's also like, imagine doing that with like the largest asset you own. Right, like just because somebody else gets
Okay, how much
elected,
equity I
right?
have.
Right, yeah. Like somebody else gets elected, and you're like, you know what? I'm moving to. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm out of here. I'll figure it out. Like if you're a real estate agent during an
to
election year and you
Istanbul.
don't hear that, you just haven't made enough
Would
calls.
you be? How aggressive would this be? Because this is something that actually maybe the good home team might do.
There's no
Is
hypothetical today. We're just
calling
talking about this.
is calling
this is
people
the
out on
hypothetical.
their. All right, you said if this person wins, you're moving.
I think it's glorious.
So we
What
just
if
call
you-
you out on
what
your
if you
on your
start
bluff.
signing listing agreements with the special provisions only valid if fucking whoever
Yes.
wins, and then you hold
Yes.
people to it?
That would be
Oh
great.
my god!
or they have to pay a cancellation.
Exactly.
When you, like, Texas has that part of the listing agreement where you like put like why you might delay putting it on the market.
Yeah.
And else
Yeah.
put like
Put it-
election.
There was that company that made you like
November.
how much did that company get away with
Oh,
signing the
dude.
like lifetime
Yeah, it's
listing
the
agreements? You don't
lifetime
think some
listing,
people
dude.
would really? And then you could do it at the table, be like, dude, I mean, unless you're a bitch, you should, you know, and you're like, like, how confident
You
are
really
you?
hate so and so?
Right? I
Prove
mean,
it.
Geez, step
But
up,
it's
right?
time.
I think that's how a certain group was built
I
on peer
will-
pressure in the South in the early early 1800s.
Welcome to the world.
Yeah. So look, I will tell you that one, we probably all agree that we don't feel like we're going to default on the debt.
No.
Right? But what will happen is you're going to have actually, I think this is a perfect time to start reaching out to your buyers and start really understanding when those rates are coming back down and saying use this as a reason to reach out.
Yeah, I like just theoretical. Like, let's just say the world went to total like chaos, or the opposite happened, or whatever. Right? You know, a good general thing to think about, and you're having a conversation with your buyers. Like, I'm talking to my buyer today, and they're a little nervous about things. Right? What's usually the minimum time for something like a refinance, a 6-month seasoning period?
Yep.
Well, let's say that things drastically change in the next 6 months. Well, if you don't own the house, you can't take advantage. Let's just say everything works out, and then rates go back to 2. Well, if you don't own the house, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And by the way, if they do go back, now you're going to be competing against everybody, and now you're not going to be able to get that house. So, like, all I'm saying is, as I've always said, buy within your budget
Yep.
and buy when you need to buy.
Well, that was a point I was making before I sidebarred, and I'm glad you re-jogged my memory, is that if Elon is right that prices are going to tumble, you can't time the market when you're like, all right, it's bottomed out. Now it's time to buy.
Yeah.
But the minute you figured out it's bottomed out, it's already gone back up.
Like a bunch of smarter people than you have already figured it
Yes,
out.
and so ultimately, the minute you start to see, or now if we start picking up that we're seeing prices tumble, then you should go buy. You should definitely go buy. Don't get greedy. Greed is what will. I've had some greedy clients in the past. It's
Pigs
always
get
got them.
slaughtered.
Yes, it's always got them screwed.
How many conversations have you had over the last few years? Is the if it gets to this, or as soon as it drops to this, then I'm going to buy. I'm going to sell.
Then they don't do it. Look, and that to me is an objection just to get you off the phone, or to get you out of their house, or to stop talking about it, and ultimately, because that's the biggest question has been, or the biggest hurdle this year has been rates.
Yeah.
Then it's been prices too high. I'm going to wait for the crash, and there's always articles that can justify. All right, crash is coming. Now there's the Elon deal. Yeah. So there's always people like, see, Elon knows what he's talking about.
We train.
I mean, he obviously watches a whole bunch of residential real estate prices.
He's in no way a maniac. Right? But we train ourselves to think like this, like as a society, I guess, because like we do this with the headline news. Jesse and I were just joking around in the background of one of the Goldman Sachs tasks talking about like, look, if we default, it's definitely going to increase the chances of a recession. The recession we've already been in for like a while now.
Yeah, haven't we been talking about that for at least
the same thing as a buyer.
6 to 8 months.
The same thing as a buyer. I'd be like, I'm just really waiting for the crash, but can never define it. But like we have like as a government right now, we're like, we might go into recession. Like 20% decline in the S&P last year, mass layoffs, interest rates, the swiftest increase in human history. Right? Like, but it's not really like, guys.
Not a recession.
Don't forget about two progressive quarters of
and 2 negative quarters of GDP, which forever was the baseline definition of a recession. We're like, well, this is
this is a different.
How much are we trusting people just because they know stuff and they don't know stuff about the actual thing they're talking about, right? Like I've seen Grant Cardone legitimately talk about like he doesn't know a ton about how real estate works. He knows he owns it. He knows he makes money on it, but he doesn't really understand the mechanics of like even the like so. Just because Elon Musk is a billionaire doesn't mean he knows a dick about the real estate market. He just has somebody who buys him real estate.
It's the same
thing as we do with any celebrity.
It's so dumb.
We do this with all celebrities.
We're like, Elon knows everything. He doesn't know shit.
We've talked about this on previous shows about how you build your brand and your marketing, right? There's a study out there, you can go Google it, that if you were to go and do a survey on how trustworthy your news reporters are, they actually rank really high. Even though they're just reading teleprompters. They don't know anything about what's going on. They're just reading what was written.
Like
it's
now?
I don't know about that. It's the confidence in the way they say
studied.
That was several years back. Several years.
That's changed rapidly.
Yes, it's changed now because
that human mindset hasn't changed.
You want to know why
they
it's
just
changed?
Reallocated it to some other idiot.
I don't think people's biases have changed.
Your local news people still fall in that category, right? So your local news. If
If
you're going to CNN and Fox News, of course, Trump really started to look. Everything came out on the
everything
fake news.
just went. All bets were off.
All news is super biased.
It's always been, but.
There's that Shane Gillis stand-up. I'll tell you about it in a second.
Yeah, but it's the same thing of if you start to get out there and really build your marketing distribution channel, and you talk about one topic long enough, do you become, in the eyes of that person, more of an expert versus
have we not all exercised this in actual practicality?
Yes.
Have we all not done this? Like, people would be shocked at how, like, the three of us would actually look at each other and be like, hey, it's not that I don't know anything about this, but I don't know everything. Yeah. Where other people come and be like, I just assumed you
did.
Understood all of this.
Yeah,
like, we've experienced that in actual practical, like, day-to-day life. And we're nobody.
How much have you ever found that about other people? Like, who are the people in your lives that, like, you love and respect, but, like, when you got deeper into their world, the thing that you really thought was like really notable about them, you're like, you're still trying to figure this shit out.
Bro, we told agents.
I do that with
years.
investing all the time,
dude. You and I had done this for years. Just look at the person and see if they have the business that you want, right? The most basic question that we look past because we get so blinded by the shiny objects and what they're saying. Just like, okay, let me just walk this back. Like, just as a real estate agent, you can pull up that person's production in your market. Do they have the business that you're striving for? No. Why are you listening to them? Like, what is the conversation?
Because they're really good on social media.
I get it. I've been that guy. I've been on both sides of that fence. I've been the guy who had no business talking about shit, and the guy who's also floored by somebody else giving their opinion about something.
I will say, if you listen to this show even today, like today's show, and we talked about this debt ceiling and how disastrous this could be, we don't understand this at a high level, right? Which means that which means that the majority of people.
Which means you definitely don't.
definitely-
we have a podcast.
That's the way I was going to go with it.
People from Iceland listen to this.
Yes. But
They
ultimately,
They do.
people from that just the average Americans who aren't in real estate,
Right.
or don't own houses, or don't invest,
Or just only do this a few times in their
Yes.
life.
Yeah.
they're only listening or reading the headline news, like Brian said, and that's where they consume their news. It's Facebook, it's Twitter. First of all, how negative is Twitter? And
How negative is news?
Yeah.
Yes.
Nobody's ever said today was sunny and people were happy.
Yeah.
Like there's no news story that leads with that shit. Not
So,
one.
could as agents, as we wrap this up, as agents, could we do a much better job? And it's always going to be a yes, by the way, because we can always do a better job. Can
it's
we
gonna
do
be
a
yes.
much better job at getting out the right information and talk about that instead of going and really dial that in? Of presenting this information and say, you want to know why you should buy a house now? Do you understand why you want to sell a house now? Is that buying a house, ultimately, if prices go down, great. Guess what? More people are going to buy, and then what happens? Then we go back up. Did you actually lose anybody? No. You only lose when you sell. So, like, right now, my stock portfolio, I'm down 22%.
Woo!
Right? But I haven't lost any money.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Unrealized
once it
losses.
goes up, I'll just wait till it goes back up, unless they
All
go
on
bankrupt.
Bud Light.
Actually, I do own a decent amount of Bud Light.
Anheuser-Busch.
I do own some of that.
Hey, Nick, do you know where you can go and make those videos? You know who you can
Tour
talk
Studios.
to? Oh, that's
and
right.
Jesse Showalter.
Yeah.
Go to Tour Studios, eventually tourstudios.com.
Correct.
Then when you're making those videos, you're going to need some great vendor sponsors, like Theron Smith over at Armadillo, who's just slinging out home warranties.
Hard shell protection.
Yeah. For every home warranty, he will give you a pet armadillo.
Yes. And a ride in the bus.
It might not be a pet, though. He's not going to vet it. It could also be your enemy. Armadillo.1/tour, TORE. Then you need to buy. Look, I mean, Elon says prices are tumbling down. So this is the perfect time to invest.
Gas is terrible. Buy electric.
Yes.
That's what Elon says.
Yes.
Cobalt.
So you should be buying some rental properties.
That's true.
But you are not a good manager.
No.
You don't even manage your own time very well.
No.
So you need Dana Wynn to tell you what to do.
Yep.
She
Dana
will.
Wynn at Homeward DFW, she'll just tell you how to manage that. She'll do it for you.
She will
White glove
manage the
service.
hell out of it.
Had a sick conversation at lunch with Mr. Showalter today.
Yeah.
while we
A
were
shit
sitting there.
conversation?
No, had a. What did I say?
I don't know.
Did I say shit?
Yeah.
Shit, I don't know.
I meant to say I had a. I don't know what I said. That was terrible.
That was a
I had a
shitty-ass
really great conversation at lunch with Mr. Showalter today. Is what I meant to say. I don't know what the hell came out of my word hole. So but about Homeward Property Management, just somebody who we had talked to a long time ago, had placed somebody, wasn't really happy with it. The tenant is now out, wants to re-engage, and wants to do it as quickly as possible. So now I've got to figure that out and go over there on Saturday.
DFW.com. Connect with Dana Wynn.
No shit conversations there.
No, I mean.
No, Dana will be better at articulating words than apparently I am.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she'll take care of you.
Then we've got Mortgage Mike. What can we say about Mortgage Mike?
He's good at Call of Duty.
He
dude.
is.
He's the best of us.
Hey,
You know what-
we won last night. Nobody was on, but he and I.
I had to go to cheer camp.
I can't
We
get on
won
anymore. I'm
last night.
garbage. I can't even
I had to go to
hang
cheer
on.
camp.
Tonight, if you guys
I'll get on. I'm trying to get on, but I
I
had
like
to
to
go to cheer
call
camp.
him Machine Gun Mike.
I'm trash at that game.
Machine
I'm
Gun Mike
embarrassed
of
when I'm
Texas.
on there with you guys.
Yeah.
Just come on and
You know,
play.
he's
It's
actually
fun.
so you said he's really great at Call of Duty, but
even-
and he's really good, but he's even better as Mortgage Mike.
Bro, he snipes loans like crazy.
Yes. He's sniping those loans, giving those Mortgage Mike stamp of approvals, and everyone doesn't regardless. Look, I mean, you can default and still get a loan because that's what the government's going
Because
to
Mortgage
do.
Mike will do anything.
Because Mortgage Mike will get you done.
He'll do
Mortgage
the
Mike
same
of Tex-
thing as the U.S. government.
He is not listening to this.
Mortgage
obvious.
Mike of
undefeated.
Texas.com.
What else do we do?
Go back to last week's episode.
Yeah.
Or episode 178 with Diesel.
That's a good one.
Go to episode 2 overall and just watch how much better it's gotten.
So much better.
Be Live days.
Which one's 2?
2 in the studio. I have no idea, dude.
Did we have? Was that a
Stuman and
guest?
Chaston
I think
were
it
in the
was
top 5.
Chaston,
Stuman and
yeah.
Chaston were in the top 5. We were very guest heavy at first.
I was listening. I
So
went
we
and
did
actually.
justify
I didn't
it.
watch Chaston's. I went back and watched the one with Adam Bailey
Yeah.
and Stuman. Stuman was fire.
I chopped up Stuman's like crazy. Stuman's is actually still good.
yeah.
Like that was the first time I had ever chopped up stuff into reels was Stuman's content. I paid some dude like $40 to do the real boxy old thing where it was like you at the bottom and then the bottom was white.
Yes.
And it had like what the topic was.
Remember those days?
There were no the captions were just whatever
We
they
should
would
bring
give
those
you.
back.
Dude.
We should bring
Everything's retro.
retro reels.
The 90s are in
know what?
right now,
You know-
so I'm going to dominate.
You know who's
this
doing
world.
retro reels? Jesse at
What?
Tour
The
Studios.
2 studios.
Let me ask you guys: Are we
We'll
still
retro the shit out of the
We'll
reels.
close with this. Are we still doing NFTs?
Oh, dude, that's something that's just kind of.
I need to check my MetaMask account and see what
moves.
Here, let me see, because I was gifted an NFT.
was
with-
it Ethereum?
No.
About $100 in Ethereum. What's that worth now?
How do I look that up?
Nickel and a half.
Can you access it?
I have my MetaMask 19,000 letter login that they
Jesse,
told me to make sure I save.
How much are the new Bored Apes? How much do they cost?
Oh gosh,
Dude, check out Eminem. Just go like Bored Apes Eminem, like the rapper Eminem.
And Snoop Dogg too. He bought a bunch of them.
I know one of the Pauls. I think it was Logan because he was like the only one trying to figure his life out. Like I think he lost a significant amount of money.
It's
on his bid.
unreal. Just do like Bored Ape cost or something. Oh, at the top, buy an ape.
Could you just imagine, dude? Could you just imagine like this wasn't that long ago?
Enter. Yeah.
Could you imagine thinking that a picture of a damn monkey that other people could just download to their phones, but you own some encrypted fucking bullshit?
I
of
own this
it?
one.
You on that one?
It was gifted to me when Aspen was born.
Okay.
Then good. You paid
show it
nothing
to the
for
camera.
Well, let's see. How do I do this?
Show it's right
There
here.
it is.
Someone just is going to screenshot that and steal your NFT. Now
Yeah.
they've got
It's
it
okay.
too.
We can't see it.
It's too
It's all
far.
right.
It doesn't
All right.
tell me how much it's
Jesse's
worth,
lighting's
though.
too good.
How much do those cost now?
It's worth
Oh,
$1.50.
$1 million. I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm telling you guys, I'm not coming back next week's show.
Like this is what this guy wants for it. He wants 47,000.
I want to know how much they've sold for. I don't want to know how much they.
Yeah, but
that
I'm-
already seems like a significant decrease because that shit was going for a lot of money.
I do have.
We know some dudes who are way into this thing and were trying to like hedge themselves against like
They were on the show, weren't
like
they?
Ethereum. They were like, we're gonna buy some stuff. Like even people
Oh,
we know
dude.
who are like half-ass in
Bro,
real estate, but
back
they were
in
gonna make it real.
2020 and 2021, I almost bought into that. Remember that hedge fund that I tried to
Yes.
convince you to buy into that was only buying NFTs? I was like, I don't know how to sharpshoot the best NFT, so I was buying into this fund. I didn't do it. I'm glad I did.
$0.
I don't think they exist anymore.
I got an Open Sky or Open Ocean or Ocean some shit, whatever the shit that was.
OpenSea.
OpenSea.
Yeah.
And like just to go look, but you had to buy some Ethereum. So I spent $100 in Ethereum at whatever time that was, and then I bought nothing. Ethereum's down 35%.
What is
today?
Bitcoin? What is?
Oh yeah, no, it's only 2% today, right?
Yeah, 1.86.
Oh yeah, I'll get $35. Yeah, my bad.
What
my
is
bad, 2%.
Bitcoin?
Yeah, it's been a rough go for Bitcoin and Ethereum
As it-
recently.
that's good because I lost all mine in that.
When you got locked out, Nick's
No.
been locked out twice now.
Not locked out.
Stolen.
Sam.
He's in a holding period.
Sam. Got
Nick's
it.
got Forexed and foreskinned at the same time.
Yeah, Sam. Is it Friedman? What's his name?
Yeah,
Yeah.
SBK.
Yeah, it wasn't in his, but
you
it
know
was.
you're a
when-
really good criminal when you get an acronym like SBK.
It was in the other one, the other wallet that loaned
BlockFi.
the BlockFi.
I
that
told you to get out of BlockFi.
I couldn't get out of it. By the
I
time,
actually forgot I didn't tell you I told Crapson.
yeah,
How
by
much
the
is
time,
Ethereum worth
by the
right
time
now?
I was
It's
told to
$1,800.
get out of BlockFi,
Like
it was,
one Ethereum's $200.
It was all too late.
I got out. I'm getting $12 in the
In the
bankruptcy
lawsuit?
fund. Yeah, man.
Hey-o.
Take my $12.
I
buy
had three.
some
I had
teas.
3 coins in there.
Reinvest that in 3 Red Bulls.
You had exactly. You had 3 coins.
I had 3 bitcoins
That's not
in there.
funny, dude. I'm not laughing. That's not funny. That's actually a fucking nightmare. You'll get paid. You will.
No, you won't.
Of
The,
what?
The full force and trust of the U.S. government.
Of crypto.
It all comes full circle.
Our show
Yeah.
topic today is
Maybe
how you
we should
can't
have
trust the
regulated
US
currencies. I know. I'm not a full capitalist, believe it or not.
Yeah,
boys.
I think
do
we-
believe in some regulation.
I'm going to invest in the U.S. crypto.
We should make our own coin.
We talked about doing that on the show. We talked
did.
about
Oh, yeah,
making
we
a
did.
Tor coin.
Well, I meant like the U.S. government should make a coin.
That coin's
but I
gonna
guess that's
tore
the same
you
thing
up.
as a dollar.
That's how good that coin is.
We'll call it Victory Coin.
Yeah.
Undefeated in global wars. Coin.
Global financial wars. We're
you know what?
undefeated.
Can we do next week? I'm going to give you one full week.
Okay.
Actually, am I here next week? 2 weeks I'm in New York.
I'm going to say everybody's
So,
here next week.
Next week I'm here. I want Brian to bring back Brian's billionaire idea, because you
it's a
could do
good one.
something with what you just
Been
kind
a
of.
while.
It might involve currencies.
Yep.
And now, Brian Force's billionaire movie something.
Hang on. Bro, that was 10 seconds of all of us being as serious as we could fucking be.
Yeah.
You know, did
Shout
you
out
guys-
Derek Kaufman for even
that was
suggesting that.
incredible.
It was
Do you
solid.
guys have that same moment right now? You know, you've been doing a show for a long time. When if you met the version of yourself,
Yeah, old
that you
bits.
saw, you wouldn't look you wouldn't look
No.
like the same person.
Yeah.
like if I stood next to that person, if you stood next to that person, they'd be like, "That's not the same version."
Your
of that
hair,
person."
Nick and I were both significantly larger. Like
Yes.
just in
And-
as
and-
humans, like out of shape.
And the beard was darker there.
Yeah,
You had a
that's true.
full-on black beard.
Yeah, the white beard's money though, bro.
Yeah.
Don't act like you.
No,
hate
I love the
it.
white
It's
beard.
golden.
I love the white
Yeah.
beard.
The
I
question
like
is,
my little
does
tags
Heather
of white.
like the white beard?
Heather will not.
For
let-
sure, she
yeah.
does.
We should
If
bring Heather
there's
on the show.
We should.
Any positives that have come out of the last couple
Could
of
Heather
years
be
for
on the
you?
show?
It's that you
She-
got this
she could.
fucking
I don't hold her back from being on the show.
Dermot.
Would she want to be on
Mulroney
camera
gray
just
beard
jawing it
going
up?
on.
That's where I think she would break. Because
Heather
I don't
would-
think she
Heather
wants to
would not
sit
be on
here
the
and like
show.
chew it up with us.
She would not do it.
She'd do it in
Which
real
is
life,
funny
just not on the
because
show.
which is funny because like out of that whole crew, she's at Brandy actually is kind of maybe be a miss for us on the show. We should probably bring Brandy on.
she'd probably do
She's easily the most gregarious out of
Yeah.
her, Heather, and Christine.
Yeah.
Like
Is she?
coming on the show.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree.
that. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Brought to you by.
Heather talks shit. I like that. Or not.
Lawyers,
Brandy will talk shit. I like
They
that.
all do.
Well, I know they talk shit. Brandy will do it on camera.
We'll get all three of them on. It might be bad. Might not be our show.
we have to
do a
leave.
takeover
The
show.
silhouettes would.
We're not there.
We should re-silhouette our logo to like all female people, and then just like have them show up.
It's like
on
the
there.
episode of the sitcom where the intro's different, right?
Yes.
That
Yep.
one episode.
And then we take over the lawyer's tea time one or whatever. it is.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
We
Follow
just
for
called y'all
follow.
out.
Yep. All right.
They don't listen.
All right.
Smallhorn said if we went on an hour, people joined us. That's a lie. We're gonna
Yeah.
Well, I think it's because
It's on YouTube though. We're
Well,
not
I
on
bl-
YouTube.
Well, I also blame us. I think
the
it kind of
content's also going to be
it
good.
kind of went.
Yeah.
What are you
down.
talking about? This content's rad.
I think it's good.
It's
too.
3 minutes
fire.
over an hour.
Let's talk about
and,
more John Q. Gross Point Blank.
I don't know that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wait,
that's
is-
a rough one.
No.
He's an assassin that goes back to his high school reunion.
Yes, I've seen that one.
That's a good
Yeah.
one.
I
Dan
don't-
Aykroyd.
You know what I bet? I bet Nick knows. Just knowing now the water world and stuff.
yeah.
The Postman.
The Postman,
I don't
another
remem-
Western.
I've seen it, but I couldn't recall about it. But I have seen it.
Kevin
What about
Costner.
Dances
Kevin Costner,
with
man.
Wolves?
Dances with Wolves. That's another one.
see,
That
man.
was the old 2 VHS situation.
Yes, sir.
If you really remember
it is
the
a
double
long
VHS.
movie.
Oh
Was that,
god.
was that
dude.
Kevin Costner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin
I will tell
Costner
you-
That was
is quiet.
young
Kevin
Kevin
Costner
Costner.
was also JFK, which
Yes, he
was
was.
a double VHS.
But
Oliver
Yep.
Stone
The baseball
Yep.
player one.
for Love of the Game.
Yes, I
Yeah.
love that movie.
That's a very good movie.
And Field of
I'm
Dreams.
gonna ask if you know-
Field
and
of Dreams. Yeah,
Dreams.
that was the one. Field of Dreams.
No, Field of
Dreams is
Dreams,
good.
but for Love of the Game.
I love
is-
Love of the
I mean,
Game.
Bull
Kevin-
Durham, Field of Dreams, Love of the Game.
Kevin
Okay.
Costner has quietly done more westerns than any living actor. Like
Yellowstone.
Which is
Think
weird
about
because he's
that.
in an era where nobody gives a rat's
no,
ass about
but
westerns.
you think Postman, fucking the other one, Dances with Wolves, is
Yeah.
kind of a western, right? He was in another one at least.
I'm
Now he's
44,
Yellowstone.
and westerns died with my grandfather. I thought,
No,
right? Like the early 20s guy.
Well, once
Like,
we
those
lost
are
John
blood.
Wayne, there
That
was
was-
a big
that was-
He's
hiatus.
dead?
There's a big
Yeah,
hiatus.
right. Yeah, that was it.
I
We had to
mean-
wait for Costner to come along.
No, I mean, because who's the Clint Eastwood? He's still
Sharon
Yeah.
Stone doing
Yeah.
the
Actually,
Magnificent Seven.
They don't know if
Fuck
Clint
that movie
Eastwood
was.
is alive or dead. They can't find him.
What? Right
Look
now?
it up, Jesse.
Okay, we're getting.
He's
back
just
into
he's
this.
standing next to a
No.
he's standing next to a tree and he looks like bark now.
See him.
you just can't see him.
Clint Eastwood. They haven't seen him for like. Say it said missing.
Yeah.
What?
No,
I
you
think
got to
he's
go
fine.
missing.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, he's gone.
No, I
Just
think
do
he's good,
Clint
dude.
Eastwood. If this is a news story, we need
Yeah.
to.
Who's the other old guy that's doing the Clint? Oh, Tom Hanks just did the same version. You know where Clint Eastwood was the racist guy sitting on his point?
yeah.
Gran Torino.
Gran Torino.
Gran Torino.
Tom Hanks just did
So
a movie
good,
where
though.
he's like
Tom Hanks is doing Gran Torino.
Tom Hanks is
He
doing.
did a like scaled down.
It's
Gran
it's
Torino.
scaled
Is
down.
it the man called Otto?
Yes.
Yes.
I haven't seen it. I heard it's really good.
Yeah, I heard this too.
It'd be cool if he killed someone in it.
It would be.
We
It
started
would be,
watching that last night. I fell asleep. Yeah, it's overrated.
No.
Man.
Clint Eastwood has been missing for more than 400 days. Where is he now?
Wait, no one's
400
missing for 400
days.
days.
I'm just telling
You
you.
have- no.
If you've been missing 400 days, you're being
Yes.
sex trafficked or you're
Yeah.
dead.
I
And
so
nobody
hope
is
it's not
sex
being
trafficking
shot.
Clint Eastwood.
This
You
was-
sure about that?
This was March 22nd, 2023.
no
What happened to
way.
Clint Eastwood? Why Clint Eastwood?
March
has
22nd,
not seen
2023 was 2 months ago.
He's
408
really old.
days.
He's probably resting.
Yeah, he might. Dude, he's been taking
You
a
know what?
nap
May-
since 2021.
Here's an updated one. May 6th. Is Clint Eastwood okay? 92-year-old star friends worried about actor after he goes missing for
Well, you should be worried because he's 92. You should always be worried.
454 days.
He's not. No.
What day did we start counting?
There are people.
454 days ago from May 6th.
There are people
2023.
currently right now in Clint Eastwood's life who know where he is. He's not missing. Like,
I would ask his son
his
Scott.
daughter would have
probably
turned
talk.
him
Yeah.
in, yeah.
Does anybody in his life that's
Oh.
not just part of Newsweek?
Here's what I'm gonna. Here's from every show until he's
I
found.
but like,
This is 400.
Jesse
There he
showed
is.
this thing. It says it
There he
shows
is.
life. And
That's
look,
February.
they show. They
Oh, it's
show
February
a, they show a
22. Damn it.
picture of him as
That's
essentially like an Egyptian mummy.
He looks like the
Right?
keeper's grandfather.
But then they show a picture of him from the 70s when he's doing westerns. Like somehow those are comparable. I was born in
Have you seen this
1979. I was born in 1979. You know what a baby picture of me looks like? It's a baby.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like a way older version of
Oh,
that
all
baby.
right.
Like
He was go back up.
We just talked about a podcast from
He was
5
last
years ago.
seen February 6, 2022.
No, last seen by
no, that's
who?
but yeah.
The people
at the
Newsweek?
AT&T Pebble Beach Pro Am.
Yeah. Do you think he
It's
got
not-
kidnapped from the fucking
It's not
AT&T
like, it's
Pebble
not
Beach
like
boy?
in February
In the parking
2022
lot.
he was on Skid Row in L.A.
Yeah,
He was playing a fucking Pro-Am with Bob Barker and Adam
I
Sandler.
feel like, first of all, if you're 92 and you've been missing for over 400 days, it is okay to declare you dead. That,
That is
hasn't
1,000%
happened.
a silver alert.
That hasn't happened.
I'm
so
just-
I'm sure someone knows where he is.
I'm saying that we need to have.
I drive up and down 635 every day, and there's never been a silver alert for Clint Eastwood
Well, 'cause he's
on the fucking board
No,
over the highway.
True.
Not
I
one
haven't
time.
seen it.
I walked over today from the gym, didn't see him.
Didn't
Yeah.
see
Didn't
it.
see
Yeah.
him. Saw a guy in a wheelchair, wasn't him.
So every
He's
show,
hiding behind a wrinkly tree.
every show from here on out until he's found.
Put out the alert.
Clint Eastwood update.
We are
New show
we're
bit.
vigilantes now.
New show bit.
Fine.
Where in the
Hashtag
world is Clint
find
Eastwood?
Clint.
At any given
Where
moment.
in the world is
Somebody toss a
Clint
key
Eastwood?
tag on that motherfucker's car or an air tag and let's get this rolling.
That is fucking hysterical.
Look, I would have fun
Oh
with that.
God.
The
The
only
show is terrible.
The only real estate podcast worth listening to. Go support the sponsors because they do make this really work out for us.
They do.
Commercial brokers call me right now. So just go over to tourstudios.com and then mortgagemiketexas.com and then homewarddfw.com and then armadillo.one/tour. TORE.
It's the first time we've ever done the sponsors 3 times.
Yeah.
It is.
Yep.
We're getting better at it.
Yeah.
Good for us.
Yeah.
All right. Whatever.
Well deserved.
Tag
right.
Clint Eastwood or leave us alone.
Hey, thank you for watching. We truly appreciate it. Checking out another episode of the only real estate podcast worth listening to. If you're watching this on YouTube, please go ahead, hit that share button, hit that like button, and hit the subscribe button. Right? We're dropping more stuff on YouTube constantly. If you're on iTunes, leave us a review, please. We're really, really focused on building up those reviews so we can get more searchable content on there. And if you're on Facebook, like everyone else is, go over and search the only real estate group worth being a part of. You're going to want to go join that group. I'm telling you right now, there's so much gold in there. So go join, share us on YouTube, and leave us that iTunes review, please. Go do it right now. We'll see you on the next show.